If balls but coke, you be getting served. Cause I got mad bricks, I call them Angry Birds. I'm a rhyme flipper, no need for a spatula. Your shoes got more miles than my Acura. I'm out for the glory, not that petty fame. These dudes trying to take my spot, but I ain't Eddie Kane. I'm Mike Sean, the punchline wizard, known for eating MCs like gas stations.
Ain't nobody from outside bringing down the property value. It's these folk shooting each other and selling that crack rock and shit.
Well, how you think the crack rock gets into the country? We don't own any planes. We don't own no ships. But we are not the people who are flying and floating that shit in here.
Yo, 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 yo. Welcome to the Rocket City Network. I am your host, the mouthpiece of the Southeast, the one and only Mike Sean. Now, today, I have a good panel. They are in the building, and we are going to be talking about the great movie, Boyz in the Hood. So, Boyz in the Hood, right, came out in 1991, I believe, right? We've all seen it. We've all seen it multiple times, right? I was talking to Jay earlier, and I was like, hey, you know, Boyz in the Hood, man, there's some scenes in that movie, and it stings a little bit differently that I'm in my 30s, you know, than when I watched it for the first time as a teenager or as a preteen. So I decided to let the brothers come on the show, and I want them to give their perspective of when they first watched the movie for the first time, and then since they've watched it as an adult, does it still have the same effect? So I'll start off with James, right? So James, Boyz in the Hood, how old were you when you first saw the movie?
And I think I was like on my way out of elementary school. It's 91, 92-ish and everything else, but I saw it and everything else. First it was sad and everything else. At the end, what happened to Doughboy. But when I got older and everything else, I started shifting over there. I didn't really pay attention to Ricky and all that stuff, but when I got older, I started paying attention to more Ricky. More time you're watching, I felt more sorry for Ricky and that was the whole plot, the whole movie to me. I felt sorry for him because he had that little thing, everything he was going on plans and all that kind of stuff, getting his life together. And the mom was still playing favoritism towards on both sons and everything with Ricky and everything else. So I kind of felt sorry for Ricky because he was thinking ahead, like, I might not make it this college thing, you know, I might just go ahead and join the army and all that kind of stuff and just go ahead and, because I got a mouth to feed.
Definitely. Jay, how old were you when you first watched Boyz in the Hood, and how did it affect you then and now?
I was young when the movie came out. I was only born in '87, so I was younger. I think I seen the movie when I was about 8 or 9, and I looked at it. Yeah, I understood it, but as I got older, little skiblets and stuff, I've learned through those situations. As far as a prime example, what Ricky did with the brother when they went to the strip the night before. They went to the strip with the night before, got into it with the dude.
Yep.
Okay, now you walking around this same neighborhood. They know where you at. You walking around this neighborhood willy-nilly, walking down alley. A younger person, when you younger, you see that, you be like, okay, he just walking home from the store. An older person, my age, I know, if I got beef with somebody or I done just got into it with somebody the night before, I'm on my P's and Q's. I'm staying close to where everybody at.
Do you think, and I'm glad you said that, so do you think Ricky was kind of arrogant because, you know, being a superstar athlete, you know, your brother checked one of the Bloods in the neighborhood, checked him or whatnot. Do you think his arrogance kind of led to his downfall? Jay?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay. Courtney, how did it affect you then and now?
Man, I'm gonna be honest. I don't even remember how old I was when I watched the movie, but now, man, that I'm older, man, it's just a lot of little nuggets you can pick from the movie, man. You know, like you guys said, you got to stay on your P's and Q's because your brother wasn't gonna be around with you when you walk in by yourself. Like, bro, you gotta have eyes in the back of your head. You know what I mean? Like your brother not gonna be with you 24/7. And it just showed a lot of things that we growing up some of us, or just Black males in general, man, how we just interact with each other on a daily basis. We just trying to survive, basically. You just try to do the best you can to survive, just to see another day, man. And the movie was before its time, man. Like, you can still sit there today and definitely watch it and just kind of take you back to where you were the first time you saw the movie and how it impacts you. Like James said earlier, man, like being young, you like, man, like that stuff really happened. Like, my man was supposed to go off to college and he lost his life. Like, that stuff still happens in today's world. You got somebody that's a star athlete, man, about to go to college, and he get gunned down over some crazy stuff that is maybe his brother brought him into, or somebody just hating on him, man.
Yeah. For me, I was, I guess, about 8 or 9. It's crazy because we were all, we weren't adults when we watched this movie.
Right.
And as I watch it now, I'm like, dang, I don't know if I could show this to my 7-year-old son.
Right.
So that kind of tells you how, advanced we were back in the day, or some of the things our parents allowed us to watch, which is crazy. But it's like every time I watch it, like Courtney was saying, you pick up like little nuggets. You can watch the movie 1,000 times, but you'll probably see 1,000 different things that you didn't see before. One of the things that kind of stood out to me was when they went down to Compton and they had the dude who played Grady from Sanford and Son, and they were talking about the property value, right? And so growing up, I'm watching with my dad or whatnot. I'm like, dang, Furious he's talking some real stuff, right? But now you see 30 years later that Grady, he was kind of right too, when he said that it ain't white folks that's bringing down the property value, is these folks fighting each other and killing and selling that crack rock. And then Furious goes on to say, well, who do you think brought in the crack rock? We don't own any boats or planes, right? So as I've been studying it, and I've been talking to Jay about this all the time, because I'm kind of hip to the whole drug culture of the past, we actually do see that we had the means to fly and and ship narcotics into the country. You look at Frank Matthews, you look at Frank Lucas. So as I watch that scene, I'm like, Grady has a point. Furious has a point as well, as far as, sticking with Black owned, buy Black owned, and all that good stuff. But as far as, why is there a liquor store in every corner? Well, there's a demand for that liquor store. If we weren't so bent on getting that liquor, standing in front of that liquor store at 5 o'clock in the morning, right before they even open, just to try to get that Mad Dog 2020, I don't think they would have been there, right? If there wasn't a demand. It's kind of like McDonald's, right? I don't like McDonald's, so I'm not going to eat there. And like what Fierce said was, like, you go to Beverly Hills, you don't see that shit because go ahead.
Yeah.
No, I was about to say what they're doing now. They're modernizing it now.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. They didn't. I'm gonna show you the example. They didn't ran the liquor stores into the ground. Okay. Not everybody is addicted to liquor. What you're starting to notice now is the CBC stores, CBD stores, and dispensaries popping up. Where at? In the Black community. Everywhere. I know in Detroit. Yeah, in Detroit, it's a one on almost every corner. You got a liquor store on one side, and you got the dispensary on the other side.
Yeah, because like when I was in LA, in 2012, everybody was trying to sell the dispensary stuff, and I'm like, I ain't got no card, I don't even smoke. Man, we can get that for you. You know what I'm saying? So it is some outside pressure. If somebody is constantly hounding you about getting some dispensary stuff or getting some liquor, you might give in. Right. Versus a person who doesn't have to face that pressure on a daily basis because they live in Beverly Hills or, in Malibu or whatnot.
Yeah.
So I think certain things are designed to destroy a people, and that's something that we have to come to grips with, so we have to tell ourselves, like, hey, we have to combat this by doing this or not going down that route, but that one scene, like, it's powerful. And when you guys get a chance, go back and watch that scene because they were actually both right. You look at it now. You go through those same areas, right? South Central. Those homes are selling for like $500,000.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yep.
like bullet holes or no bullet holes, they still selling for $500,000. You know,
Yep.
because gentrification is real. If you look in Miami, right, they have what you call like climate change gentrification, where back in the day, if you lived further from the water, that was like the cheap homes, right? But now with elevation and all these storms coming through Miami, you have people who want those higher elevation homes. So what they're doing, they're kicking out the people who've been there for 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
You know, so and that happens everywhere. We see it in Huntsville, you know. And I know James has seen it in Philadelphia. Jay, you've seen it in Detroit. Courtney, you've seen it in Virginia. You see it everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
that movie, like Courtney said, is so powerful. It was ahead of its time,
Yep.
and we know that because we're dealing with the same issues. And that movie came out before the riots.
Yep.
Yep. It did.
You know, um, it was just so many scenes, man. You know, like the scene where Furious was telling him, "Hey, don't join the army. Black men ain't got no place in the army." You know, of course, that was like a popular, I guess, slogan back in the day. But now we've seen that people have made great strides by joining the armed forces.
Mm-hmm.
Just the beginning scene where he was asked to rake the leaves, you know, and then his dad said, "Hey, you're gonna see where they're gonna end up at." And sure enough, we saw that.
Yeah.
You know, what are some of you guys' thoughts about the movie? Like different scenes that kind of struck out to you now.
Well, I was gonna mention that one because I was gonna mention that if you didn't came to the Furious and the Grady one, because that one, I caught up on that one. You didn't pay attention when you was young, but when you got older, then you actually see all that gentrification stuff, and even my old grandmother neighborhood and everything else. It wasn't when I was little and everything was all black. Now it's not that far from downtown and everything else.
Yep.
Now some white folks moved back in, and they starting to push all the black folks up north, send them up there and try to isolate it.
Uh-huh.
And and right now, before it took a long time the cop to come over to the house. Now it's just like they're there like 5 minutes later.
Yeah.
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 Like as far as gentrification, I had talked to a real estate guy in Detroit. He said, prime example, this is what they're doing. I have a $300,000 house, maybe we're gonna say Madison to Huntsville. I sell that $300,000 house, maybe get 330, 340 for it. I take that 340 and go down to Detroit and buy 10 houses at $30,000 a piece.
Yeah.
So now I'm still winning because I got 10 houses compared to this one house now. So I'm gonna charge rent on 9 or 8 of them. I done bought this block up now. I done bought this block. You can't move in this block. Yeah, you got to go buy this other house out in the suburbs or all that now. And you starting to see more suburbs are starting to offer Section 8.
Mixed income. So, and I'm glad you brought that too, because like I said, I'm a big movie fan. Have you guys ever watched the movie Candyman? Cabrini Green, right? It was a notorious project, right? Now you look at that area, it's mixed income. And they've done that in multiple different cities, you know, so they're kind of, you tear down the housing projects, which after I've done research, Cabrini Green probably needed to be tore down, you know, with all the raping and killing that was going on. But that's what happens. Just like Jay said, the mixed income, you know. Courtney, what are your thoughts?
Man, it's the same thing happening here in Louisville, man. Where my school is, where I teach. About 2 years ago, 3 years ago, man, the city bought up all these apartments, and all the black people that was there, man, they shipped them up and shipped them out. Those, you drive through there now, man, they got big old gates blocking off, and The only people going in there are the people that's working on it. So they, that's working on it, but they're about to make it like high-rise apartments and putting coffee shops everywhere. And so, that's going to jack the cost of living up. And those Black people that's been living there 20, 30, 40 years, man, they can't afford that, the rent that's going to be, or whatever it is that they're going to be charging for that, man. And it's just going to be, like Jay said, they send them to the suburbs, man, and they give them Section 8. It's crazy. Yeah. So they pushing all the Black people further and further away from the cities, man.
Yeah. Because back in the day, I mean, even like so I was born in Seattle, but I still have a lot of family there. There was a place called the Central District, which was downtown. Mm-hmm. In the early 90s, when all this gang warfare was going on, nobody wanted to go down there, other than going to the churches, right? But now, 30 years later, the CD is pretty much, hell, it's gentrified because people have access to get to their jobs in the city.
Right.
And a lot of it has to do with, like, if you have a home in 1991 worth $40,000, say your grandma dies, the kids are going to be arguing over that money. Hey, let's go ahead and sell the house. They sell the house, instead of keeping it in the family, you sell the house. Hell, you go down there now in 2021, the house is probably up for sale for $300,000.
Yep.
Yep. All day.
So and that's how it is in California, because like during the early 90s, a lot of the homes in South Central, they were being rented out. So of course, when you have a renter in your house, they treat it a little bit differently, So and that kind of added to the drop down in the property value on top of the gang violence and the drugs. But now, hell, Compton, you can find a nice house in Compton, but it's going to cost you about $500,000. Right. And we're talking about Compton, a city that we always hear in the music. Yeah. Well, I'm not going to Compton. Compton, you scared of Compton, but go to Baldwin Hills now. $1 million homes.
Yeah.
But 30 years ago, nobody wanted to live out there. So, but yeah, so Boyz n the Hood is just one of those movies where you just pick up little tidbits and you watch it in real time today. It just blows your mind on how, like Courtney was saying, how ahead of the time that movie was. And then of course the gang warfare, I think that's kind of toned down a lot. But you still have remnants of that. And I mean, that doesn't do it any justice or whatnot. But I think that gentrification piece between Grady and Furious Styles, we're dealing with that now. Right. You look at everywhere. Don't matter if you're on the East Coast or West Coast. You look at Harlem. I saw some footage of Harlem from 1990. Ooh. I thought it was from the 60s. It looked bad, And and now Harlem is you talk to people who live in Harlem, who grew up in Harlem, they say it's not how it was in the 90s. Ooh. And so that kind of begs the question, like, some people say, well, don't you want your community to look better? And so it's like a double-edged sword. You want your community to look better, but at what price?
Right.
Because Harlem is not the same Harlem as it was in the 90s. Just like DC. We go into politics, right? DC was what? Chocolate City.
Yeah.
Right?
Still is.
Yeah, it still is. But the reason why I think that DC has the best opportunity of becoming a state now is because a lot of people who don't look like us, they live there and they want better. Yeah. And you know what? They're going to get better because they don't look like us.
Exactly. But
go ahead.
Yeah, but no, but like you said though, it's a, we have to get better. Like we have to take pride in our community and where we live, because we know when these people come in with these millions of dollars, Black folk can't compete with that, because it's really barely any homeowners in those neighborhoods. They're renters. So it's like they're gonna come in, they're gonna offer you they may offer you a couple thousand for you to move, but and they're gonna build it up and they're gonna make millions off of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy, and then so sometimes when I talk to people who are our age, um, they how do you say it? I wouldn't say they're proponents of it, but when you start talking about gentrification, you realize that a lot of black folks
Mm-hmm.
they actually want to cash in just like everybody else.
Right.
So that's a whole nother dynamic. And they're going to the highest bidder. And a lot of times it's people who don't look like us. So
True.
so do we
Right.
hold our own accountable in that aspect?
We
What
don't.
do y'all think about that?
Man, I was on. I do know a lot of. I mean, a couple people on the fence on that one, but
Mm-hmm.
that ran into them a couple of days ago. Somebody, they sold their like the house been in their family generation, but like couple generations. You know, the great grandmother had it. They passed on, but not many of the family. They sat there and had a discussion with it, but they offered them like some money that it was the family could not pass this up, and it was like
Mm-hmm.
$7 million. It was like just for the house, just for the whole house. They were buying the whole block. They was gonna tear it down.
Yeah.
They couldn't refuse it, so it was like you couldn't do it, and some of them end up moving south.
Mm.
And it's one of those things. Can we blame them for that?
I can't fault
If
them. 'Cause
yeah, if you have an opportunity to get money that's going to change the trajectory of your family,
yeah,
I can't
That's
blame
what grandma
them.
wanted.
Oh,
Right.
what'd you say?
I know. I was just saying that's what the grandparents wanted in the first place. Generation.
Yeah.
This house is gonna be a generation, benefit generation.
Right.
Yeah. So I guess you kind of can turn that into like if grandmama, she probably wants you to make a couple cool million off this house, but make sure you buy another house and and continue
Right.
that whole
Yeah.
and continue that too. Dion, I see your name on the screen. Courtney, what you think about that? Like do you think that we have become our own co-conspirators in the gentrification race?
Man, you here like it's tough because man, it's like you got to look at it like most of us, uh, our parents. If you look from where our grandparents came and and then our parents came and all of this, like most of us just don't have $500,000-$600,000 in the bank, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if we got a home and somebody offering us 700,000 or maybe $1 million or 3 million, we go let it go because, like you said, that money is gonna change the trajectory of our families, and so we I guess that I'm looking at it like, man, we just got to take the money and run. I don't want to say it like that, but most of us don't have no money just sitting there in the bank like. So I mean,
just chilling. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's just chilling. So I mean, when that opportunity comes, I jump on it. But then the follow back to that is once you get that money, you better flip that money and keep it going.
Yeah. You better take that 400,000 and invest it, into some more real estate.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. I cannot fault people for trying to better themselves, and if they have an asset that they can make 2 times what it's worth, and like you said, take the money and run. I just cannot be mad at that. But on the flip side, it's like, damn, man, old man Sanders used to have a barbershop over here. Now it's gone.
Yeah.
Miss Seeley used to have a cookie shop. Now it's gone. Now they have a CVS there or a Dollar General.
Yeah.
So I do believe we are co-conspirators of our own degradation. And at the end of the day, I think that we have to worry about our own livelihoods, our own homes, to an extent. I mean, I'm all for unity, but at the same time, I got to make sure my foundation, my family is straight before I can help out somebody else.
Exactly.
If I still got kids in the house, I mean, I might not be able to mentor, other kids and whatnot, because my kids can in turn be casualties of war. I mean, I could put so much energy into helping somebody raise their kid, but not seeing that I'm neglecting mine.
Right.
So I think we have to be in that same mindset when it comes to our families. Then we can kind of help out the village and do what we can do. But once again, I can't fault somebody who lives in Watts and who sells their family home for $300,000.
Right.
$100,000 over the asking price, because that $100,000 could actually fund a college, student.
Mm-hmm.
So
true.
yeah, man. So any final thoughts on Boyz in the Hood?
Good movie. Just a good movie before its time.
Yeah.
And the one just suggestion I would say, another good movie that we could talk about or you have on your show, Mike Sean, Higher Learning. Higher Learning.
Man. Oh, we already talked about that today. I'm gonna bring that one up. That's yes, definitely. James, what do you think, brother?
Man, I love Boyz in the Hood. It's one of those movies. I see it on TV. I might stop what I'm doing and still watch it.
Cool. Yeah, me too. Courtney.
Yeah, man. It's like I said earlier, it's one of those movies, man, where you can go back and just little nuggets, man, that they, if you go back and look at all those 90s movies, man, it's always gems in there that you can find out, man, and pull from, and it speaks to, neighborhood, black neighborhoods across the country today, man.
Definitely. So there you have it, folks. The Rocket City Network. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and we out. Yep.